Welcome back to World of Immersion. Today we have a very special video. We are going to be ranking our top 25 roller coasters of all time. Now recently we just had the chance to visit Europe, in which we visited almost 60 new roller coasters, including checking out Universal's brand new park in Orlando on the way, Epic Universe. So be sure to stay tuned. This is going to be a very different list than our last top 25. So much has changed since the last time we made it, so be sure to stay tuned. But before we start today's video, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss when we have brand new content. We are posting daily, so we have tons of content coming out, including rankings, vlogs, and everything from our European trip, as well as brand new haunt stuff coming up very, very soon. The haunt season is just around the corner, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Without further ado, though, let's get right into the video. Now, I've been on almost 270 roller coasters, so that means that any coaster that is even featured on this list is still a world-class, incredible ride because it is one of my favorite coasters I've ever been on. Even though a ride is coming in at number 25, it does not make it a bad ride. Now, I also do want to say that we're going to be going very, very quickly through this list since we have 25 roller coasters to get through. If you want a more in-depth review of each ride, be sure to check out our rankings from the parks as well as our vlogs. We go into much more detail about what makes these rides great. But with that being said, starting off at number 25, we have a roller coaster from Cedar Point that I have not been on in quite a while, and that is going to be Maverick. Now, like I said, this ride being so low on the list does not mean it's a bad ride at all. In fact, I have nothing but good things to say about this coaster. It is very smooth, it's got great launches, those inversions are very whippy, some very, very strong airtime. It's a very long ride. Just overall, this is an incredible ride. Like I said, I have nothing but great things to say about this amazing coaster. It is definitely one of my favorites at Cedar Point and one of my favorite coasters in the world. Now moving on to number 24 is a roller coaster that I have ridden probably more than any other roller coaster on the planet, and that is Twisted Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Now this is a great hybrid coaster by Rocky Mountain Construction. When it duels, it definitely makes it a lot better. In fact, I probably would put this coaster a little higher on the list if it dueled every time, but unfortunately it doesn't. But like I said, the coaster itself is still amazing even without the dueling aspect. Got some great airtime, very long ride, and those inversions are a ton of fun. Just one step above it is another coaster by Rocky Mountain Construction with Twisted in its name, and that is Twisted Timbers over at King's Dominion. Once again, an incredible RMC coaster, some of the strongest airtime I've ever experienced on a coaster for sure. Don't let its size fool you, this ride is very, very whippy and got some great airtime and inversions. And coming in at number 22 is a very, very intense roller coaster, almost the opposite of Twisted Timbers. This is going to be Flying Dinosaur over at Universal Studios Japan. Now, instead of airtime, this ride is focused on pure intensity. That triple pretzel loop inversion is insane. It twists and continues twisting into a pretzel loop, only to throw you right into another pretzel loop. It is insane that this coaster exists at a Universal park, and you just have to go out to Japan to check out this one. It is a ton of fun, and by far my favorite B&M flying coaster. Coming in at number 21 is another very intense coaster. That is going to be Sky Rush over at Hershey Park. This ride is a ton of fun. I have yet to experience it with the new restraints. However, I'm sure it will be a lot better. That was really my main complaint with this coaster, were those awful thigh crush restraints. But besides that, the ride is amazing. Not super rough at all. It's got really, really intense moments and some really, really strong airtime. That is some of the craziest intensity to airtime I have ever experienced of all time. Moving on to our top 20, and coming in at number 20 is going to be my favorite B&M hyper in the world, and that is Mako over at SeaWorld Orlando. This ride is a ton of fun. We got 3 rides on it on our visit, and it is so much fun. It is just pure fun. That's how I would describe this coaster best. Almost more than any other coaster in the world, it is just a ton of fun. It's got some great airtime, buttery smooth throughout the entire layout. The drop is one of the best I've experienced on a coaster, and just overall, it's a great ride. Now moving on to another park in the same chain, and that is going to be Montu over at Busch Gardens, Tampa. This is by far my favorite B&M invert. This ride is amazing. It has got some of the best inversions you'll ever experience on an invert. It's pure intensity, and it is a ton of fun. It is super smooth as well. One of the smoothest coasters I think I've ever been on. The theming is great, and it just keeps going. It is one of the longest inverts I've ever been on. Now, coming in at number 18 is one of the newest coasters on this list, and that is Hyperia over at Thorpe Park. Now, my one major issue with this ride is that it is very, very rough at the bottom of those dips. But aside from that, it is an incredible coaster, one of the best layouts I have ever experienced. It's a little bit short, but that first drop is out of this world. The stall is insane, and the outwards banked curve is amazing as well. Moving on to number 17 is another brand new ride on this list, and that is going to be Terran. Now, this honestly was one of the few rides on this list that was slightly disappointing. I went in with the expectation that it was a very, very intense and whippy ride, and while it was definitely decently intense, it was nowhere near the level of what people were saying. I would compare this a little more to Hagrid's than something like Maverick. Just in my opinion, it is a little bit less intense than a huge thrilling coaster. I would put it kind of as a step between a family and thrill coaster. But that being said, it is still an amazing ride. It's got incredible theming, it is a super long ride, and it's still very, very smooth, and those launches are very punchy. Now, coming in at number 16 is my personal favorite roller coaster in the entirety of California, and that is going to be Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. This ride is incredible, one of the best night rides in the world, one of my favorite wooden coasters of all time. It is just a ton of fun. The airtime off of that mid-course is out of this world. And like I said, the night ride on this thing is actually insane. One of the best night rides on the planet. I would highly recommend coming out to Knott's Berry Farm to check out this coaster alone because it is truly incredible and a one-of-a-kind experience. Now, moving on to number 15 is probably the most disappointing ride on this list, and you might be very surprised to see it this low, but just hear me out, and that is going to be Iron Gwazi. Now, unfortunately, we definitely had a very bad ride on Iron Gwazi. I'm sure if we had a much later ride in the day, it would have been very, very different and probably much higher up on the list, but we did unfortunately have to ride it pretty early on in the morning, so it was running very slow. We were towards the back row, which helped a bit, but it was not anywhere near as good as what people had said. But like I said, I know that's probably just because of how we rode it, what time of day we did. But that being said, it's still an incredible ride. It's still an amazing top tier ride. Every RMC is honestly amazing and out of this world, and this one is incredible as well. Definitely recommend checking out going to Busch Gardens, Tampa to ride this ride. I'm sure I will be back at some point in the future to check it out on a day that is not going to be as cold and not going to be as early in the morning. Moving on to number 14 is a ride that I rode under a different name. That was Intimidator 305. It is now known as Pantherian, but the ride experience I'm sure is very, very similar. This ride is truly out of this world. It is one of the most intense coasters I have ever been on in my life. The drop is amazing. My only complaint with this ride is that it's not super diverse in its elements. It's just pure intensity. I wish it had a little bit more airtime because I look for airtime a little bit more on my rides than I do with other kinds of experiences like intensity. But that being said, it's still an amazing ride and highly recommend going out to check it out. And I'm sure we'll be back at some point in the future to see it with its new theming. Now, coming in at number 13 is a ride with a very similar name, and that is Pantheon at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. This ride completely blew me away when I rode it for the first time. At that point, the only new generation Intamin I had been on was Velocicoaster, and that at that point in time was my favorite coaster in the world. And Pantheon was amazing as well. While it's nowhere near as long as Velocicoaster, the launches are great. That huge spike is amazing as always. Very, very smooth ride. Got some incredible airtime. Those Intamin restraints are some of the best in the world. Just nothing but great things to say about this coaster. My only complaint would have been that theming was not as great as it could have been. Wasn't really up to the same Busch Gardens standard that we're used to, especially when the rest of the Busch Gardens Williamsburg Park is a lot more themed. But it's just a minor nitpick. This ride is awesome. Definitely go check it out. Coming in at number 12 is its sister coaster, one of our newest coasters on this list, and that is going to be Toutatis. Now, this ride was amazing. The theming is really the main thing that separates this ride from Pantheon, in my opinion. The theming on this ride is amazing. The queue is very well themed, but the station building especially. It's got this pretty decent sized drop out of the station. The pre-launch section is also really good as well, but it's that really low to the ground inversion that really separates it for me. That low to the ground inversion is amazing. It feels almost like a mini Mosasaurus roll in my opinion. Definitely recommend going out to Park Asterix to check out this one. Now moving on to number 11, just barely missing our top 10, is actually going to be a family coaster. And that is Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. Now don't let its family coaster size fool you. This ride is incredible. One of the best themed coasters, if not the best themed coaster on the planet. It's got dark ride scenes, it's got a backward section, it's got a drop track, it's got like 7 launches. What else could you want from a coaster? It's got an Omni Mover station. The queue is one of the best themed in the world. Nothing but amazing things to say about this ride. One of the best in the world for sure. Now, starting off our top 10 is going to be our highest ranked wooden coaster on the list, and that is going to be El Toro. This ride is incredible. Some of the strongest airtime I've ever experienced. My only major issue is if you ride on the wrong seat, it can be a little bit rough at the bottom of some of those dips. But that's just a nitpick. Those transitions at the end are really cool. It feels almost like a steel coaster. The drop is one of the best drops on the planet. And those airtime over the camelbacks is insane. Some of the strongest airtime I've ever experienced. Coming in at number 9 is another very new ride on the list, and that is going to be the brand new Stardust Racers over at Epic Universe. My only minor nitpick with this ride is that it is a little bit bumpy at some of the bottoms of those dips, but other than that, this ride is flawless. It is a visual spectacle to watch, both off-ride and on-ride. This probably has the best night ride in the world with the dueling element and the way that the trains light up. And just overall, this ride is incredible. I think the Celestial Spin is one of my favorite inversions in the world. The onboard audio is amazing, and the launches are very punchy as well. Some great strong airtime on this coaster, in addition to everything else I've mentioned. Coming in at number 8 is going to be another roller coaster from Rocky Mountain Construction, and that is Wildcat's Revenge. Now, this is one of my favorite RMCs on the planet. This ride is absolutely insane. While it is a little bit shorter than some of the other RMCs, it makes up with that with how intense it is. This is probably the most intense RMC I think I've been on. The inversions are great. The only thing it's missing is just a little bit more airtime, but the airtime it has is still amazing. Definitely the highlight ride from Hershey Park and one of my favorite coasters on the East Coast. Now, coming at number 7 is a ride that very much surprised me. It's another one of the new coasters on the list, and that is Fly over at Fantasialand. This is by far my favorite flying coaster in the world. It's the only flying coaster that has airtime. It's super smooth. It's an incredibly long ride, and the theming is amazing. It's got a dark ride scene before you launch. The way that this ride loads its guests onto the vehicle is also amazing. It's very, very genius. This ride is just amazing. There's nothing bad I have to say about this coaster. One of my favorite coasters on the planet for sure. Now, coming in at number 6, just barely missing the top 5, is another roller coaster from Rocky Mountain Construction. And what's very interesting is you can find this one not at a major park. It's not at Six Flags. It's not at a Universal Park. This is at a Fun Spot park. That is Air Force One. Now, it is insane to me that this park has this coaster. It is one of the best roller coasters on the planet, and it is at a tiny Fun Spot park that pretty much just has one other little family coaster and a go-kart track. That's all there is left at this park besides Air Force One. But let me tell you, you have to go out and experience Air Force One. It is truly an incredible coaster. One of the best drops in the world. It has non-stop airtime at the end. It's got a quad down into the brake run. It's got these 2 inversions that are really, really low to the ground that are amazing. They feel almost like mini Mosasaurus rolls. I have nothing but amazing things to say about this coaster. One of the best coasters on the planet. Definitely recommend checking it out. And this ride is only like $8 to ride, which is insane. You don't have to pay for a ticket into the park. You can just buy an individual ride or a ride wristband to ride it as many times as you want. Now, moving on to our top 5, and just barely hitting the top 5 is going to be another very new coaster on the list, and that is Voltron at Europa Park. Now, this was probably the ride that shocked me the most on our trip. I did not expect this ride to be so high on the list, but let me tell you, this is one of the best, if not the best, layouts on any roller coaster of all time. It is an extremely long coaster, got some very, very strong airtime, some amazing inversions. The launches are great. It's got a backwards section. The theming on this ride is also incredible as well. It's got that pre-launch bounce track, which is amazing. Just nothing but great things to say about this coaster. It honestly would even be a little bit higher. Just there's one minor nitpick I have, and that is if you're sitting on one of the wing seats, it can be a little bit rough in some of the dips. But if you're sitting on an inside seat, especially in the front row, it is buttery smooth. This ride is truly incredible, a one-of-a-kind coaster, and absolutely the kind of coaster that Europa Park needed to be its standout. Now, coming in at number 4 is our highest-ranked family coaster on the list, and that is the incredible Cosmic Rewind at Epcot. This ride is truly incredible, the absolute epitome of family coasters. This ride is amazing. The launches are great, the backwards launch is amazing, the theming is truly out of this world. You really feel like you are flying through space. The onboard audio is amazing. The spinning aspect is incredible. It is just one of the best coasters on the planet. Don't let its size fool you also for this one. It is really, really amazing and just pure fun. Absolutely go out to Disney World and Epcot to visit this ride. It is really incredible and out of this world. Now, moving on to our top 3, it is very, very hard for me to rank these 3 coasters. They're 3 of the best roller coasters in the world. Absolutely all 3 10 out of 10s in my mind. I find 0 flaws with any of them. But I do have to rank them, and coming in at number 3 for me is going to be the one and only Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. Now, unfortunately, I have not gotten the chance to ride this ride in almost 5 years. It has been a very long time, and I hope to be able to get back out to Cedar Point next year to check it out again and ride this coaster because it is truly incredible. It has one of the best layouts of all time. It's an insanely long ride. It does not let up whatsoever. That first half is all big, graceful elements with some great airtime, some great hang time, just overall amazing elements. And then you get to its second half, and you think that the ride is almost over, and then all of a sudden you're diving off that mid-course, and that second half is absolutely relentless. some back-to-back airtime hills followed by inversions, followed by sharp banked curves. This ride is just truly incredible. One of the best coasters on the planet, and it was my number one for a while. Now, while Steel Vengeance was my number one coaster for a little while, it was dethroned by a coaster that I rode back in 2021, and that is going to be the one and only Velocicoaster. Now, this is another ride that was my number one coaster for a very, very long time. In fact, it was my number one roller coaster for almost 4 years when I rode it back in 2021. Now, this ride is almost perfect. The only thing, and truly the only thing that I think it is missing is onboard audio. But even that is the tiniest little nitpick. This ride is truly incredible. It is buttery smooth. The first half is very whippy, going through all the rock work while you're in the Velocicoaster paddock. And then as soon as you hit that second launch, it is insane. That top hat is amazing. It gives incredible views of the entire area. The drop off of the top hat is amazing as well. There are no trims on that top hat. You get whipped right over, and that drop is great. The stall is amazing. It's not the best stall in the world, but it's really, really great that it's on this ride. And then that whole helix section with the overbanked curves is amazing as well. You have that outworks banked curve where it whips you to the left and then right back to the right again. And then you go right into one of the best, if not the single best inversion on the planet, and that is the Mosasaurus roll. You feel like you're being flung right into the water. Absolutely nothing to say but amazing things about this roller coaster. And it's probably a lot of people's favorite roller coaster, as it was mine for almost 4 years, like I said. However, it was dethroned by one roller coaster that I rode just a few weeks ago at a random park, a very small park that is, in Belgium, and that is going to be the one and only Ride to Happiness. This ride is absolutely insane. There's so much I could talk about with how amazing this ride is. We're actually going to have a full review of this coaster up on the channel, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But this ride is bonkers. It is a launched roller coaster that spins while going through inversions. The layout is near perfect. Those launches are great. That first drop is amazing after that first launch, especially if you're in the back row. If you get whipped over backwards, it is insane. It is unlike any experience you've ever experienced on a coaster before. And by far, the standout element for me is just after that second launch, there is an inversion that whips you. It goes into a full barrel roll, and then it continues going on. It's almost like a double barrel roll. Think of it similar to like the flying snake dive over on Hershey Park's Storm Runner, except this one you are spinning during it. So if you get it just right, you're going to be whipped over backwards, doing like a backwards somersault. It is crazy. This ride is truly out of this world. And on top of everything that I've already mentioned, it has onboard audio, which just makes it even more amazing. This ride is truly one of a kind. You absolutely have to go out to Plopsaland over in Belgium, make the 2.5-hour train ride from Brussels like we did, because this ride is amazing. It is one of a kind and absolutely one of the best coasters on the planet. But that's going to do it for our ranking of my top 25 roller coasters of all time. Be sure to comment down below what your ranking is. I know there are a ton of coasters that I've yet to experience. Hopefully someday those will be on this list. But comment down below if there are any rides that I missed, any rides that you think absolutely should have been on this list. But thank you so much for watching World of Immersion today. We have a ton of videos coming out soon, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. And we will catch you in the next video.